Well, we have to lead from the front when demonstrating what innovation truly means, and pivoting to become the world's first agricultural show completely online with 108 days notice to go. Developers working on it in lockdown to create a benchmark for events into the future was, of course, our National Field Days, finished up on Friday over a 2-week virtual event online. One of the pinnacle events within the Field Days week is always my favourite, is the celebration of innovation through the Innovation Awards. And this year was no exception to leave out celebrating our finest inventors and bright minds. Joining us now to discuss the award winners and tantalise you with inspiration is one of this year's judges, Andrew Cooke from Rezzare Systems. Andrew, having been involved with software development for agribusiness, developing tools for nutrient management, feed planning, traceability for years, firstly, what makes New Zealand's mindset to innovation so unique?
Yeah. Hi, Sarah. Look, I think one of the things that makes it unique is how close we all are to the country and to agriculture. It's all around us, even in our cities, and we sometimes complain about people becoming divorced from agriculture. But every year we have a bunch of entrants into the field days from high schools, from colleges, and those people aren't necessarily from rural families, but they are very in touch with what's happening in our economy. And I think so. One of the real benefits is we get people who are maybe doing different things. Maybe they're doing IT or engineering or chemical science or whatever else it might be. But where do they look around and what industries can they play in? Agriculture is so important to New Zealand.
I'm just looking through let's start on our youth and the wonderful St Paul's Collegiate School with Flashflow. It must just blow your mind how the youth of today are coming up with some incredible innovations. Can you tell us about that particular one?
Yeah, so that particular invention is it's effectively a leak detection tool. And look, there's lots of different ways to detect leaks in pipes, and I know for farmers it's a big thing. Every farmer says to me, diagnosing water problems. So these guys have come up with something really simple, but at the same time quite clever, and it's a take on the thing that would stand up on your tank and show you the tank level, but it's digital, and it's a light, and it plugs into the water pipe, and it shows you if you've got a leak happening. And again, every year several schools have good entrants, and I would say that's an outcome of their curriculum and their good teachers.
Now, I'm just having a look here. One that's caught my eye, because when we were at Lake Hawea Station, I understand that they are already starting to implement this unique recognition, a facial recognition of sheep.
I know.
This is our future.
Yeah, I think it is. And it may not be exactly as we saw it with this entry into the field days, but we're seeing people creating software that recognises sheep and cattle, just like facial recognition for humans. And to you, all sheep, well, maybe not to you, but to many of your viewers, all sheep might look the same, but to the computer, they're definitely not. They're recognisable too.
Andrew, because no sheep will be listening to this, I believe all sheep have the same intelligence, though. When you work with now, like, what I'm interested in is that there's the Innovation Awards and that what differs across them, but also the sort of the particular stage they're at, and we're from prototype right through to an innovation of something that's already commercialized. What are some of the great journeys that you've seen over the years where a good idea has actually got through to commercial?
Yeah. And I guess it's worth noting there's three major categories of awards. There's the Grassroots Award, which is really targeted at inventors. You don't have to have any level of polish. It doesn't even need to be really working. A lot of people come into inventions with an idea, and they want to test whether it's interesting or not. Then there's the Launch NZ category, which is for companies who have, and tends to be companies people who've actually developed something to the stage where they're starting to commercialise it. And this is their first year of commercialisation. Maybe they're just kicking it off at Field Day. And then you've got international, which is really designed for, people who are getting into probably 3+ international markets with their innovation. And to me, the exciting thing is we see this progression. Whether it's the wood splitter from a few years ago with Ayla Hutchings, winning that as a young inventor and then moving through. We certainly saw, Antahi Innovations were back again this year after winning some awards the other year with the Trusty Tuber. And we saw Pick Me not in the awards this year, but last year they kind of swept the deck in the grassroots section, and then we've seen their business grow and now heading into being an international business. So there's some exciting things happen if you get involved in Fieldays Awards.
And on the challenges that the inventors are seeking out to find a solution for, it's always encouraging to see how many are environmentally focused.
Yeah, and that varies. You see some environmental focused ideas from people who are just creating their first grassroots startup, right up to this year and indeed last year. Entries from some of our largest companies, but investing huge amounts of money in new innovations that will help the environment.
Andrew, do you think there'll be a Fieldays Innovation Year where there's nothing to do with fencing? We have an obsession with improving fencing in this country.
We do, whether it's a pigtail or a standoff or whatever else it might be. Absolutely, every year. Something to help you get the post in a little bit easier. Absolutely. But again, it shows you that inventions don't also have to be groundbreaking. They can sometimes be just that little step on.
Now let's get into talking all about you, Andrew. There's a story here on Farmers Weekly about you moving on. What's happening with the Map of Ag, which of course New Zealander Forbes Elworthy's company, Craigmore, is investing in. Is this the end of you in the agritech space, or is this just the next step for you?
Yeah, no, this is very much the next step, not just for me, but for the Rezzare Systems business as well. So I don't know how many people know our story, but Rezzare started off as a spin out from AgResearch 15 years ago. A group of us, just a small group of about 5 people who had worked at that sort of meeting point of software and science, really, creating some of the models that underpin a range of the tools that are used around the country today. And we built the business up to about 40 people and started opening markets in Australia and the UK. And in the UK, we bumped into Map of Ag, which we're also a spin out from a New Zealand business. And just the sort of, we were doing so many things the same, slightly different business model, that we thought, hey, it's worth actually putting these two companies together. So Rezzare Systems is becoming Map of Ag New Zealand, trading as Rezzare, and will become effectively the core software house of Map of Ag, as well as doing what we were doing before.
And I love that when you see that there is similarities and merging together for the better good of the farmer, the audience. I learned a very big word, interoperability, this year. Apparently something we're not very good at in this country, especially in ag.
Yeah. And I don't know whether that's just because of the sorts of businesses we have. We have a lot of cooperatives who each have their own scale. And then our small startup players tend to be very, very small. Whereas probably, what I see when I do work in Europe is that there's a whole bunch of players that are probably mid-market players, all compete against each other, but also realizing that their systems have to talk to each other, right? And how many times do we see farmers in New Zealand say, if I could just get away without having to put the same data into 5 different systems for compliance, I'd be happy. Well, that's the sort of problems you're trying to solve with interoperability.
Oh, and we're glad that you're not leaving the sector, because I need good men like you at the helm and at the table. Thank you so much, of course, being at the judging table for the 2020 Fieldays Innovation Awards. If you'd like to, head over to fielddaysonline.co.nz and search the Innovation Awards. It's actually a lot of fun to be able to see how clever we are, clever little Kiwis that we are in this country.
This is Sarah's Country.